shoulder issue. Ball is up in the air and Yukon gets the opening possession here at People's Bank Arena. Great to have you with us here on FS1 for some Big East women's hoops. The UConn Huskies, as I mentioned, have won 40 straight games dating back to last season as Fudd gets on the board first.
Easy Fudd, we just mentioned the three-point shooting numbers, but she's been so good in the mid-range, just taking that dribble handoff, coming right off the screen.
And there you see the high-pressure Huskies defense, which was problematic for Butler the last time these teams met back in December. It was a massive win for the Huskies, as every Big East game has been this season. Going back to Fudd, though, 25 points last game against DePaul, 27 against Tennessee, and there's a steal here for UConn. KK Arnold running the point here, gets it off to Zabel, who then loses the handle. Jackson finds Zeenstra on the break. UConn does a good job there with their transition defense getting behind the ball. Zeenstra with an open corner three. Butler on the board early, courtesy of Caroline Dotsie.
Yeah, Austin Parkinson has talked about the importance for his team getting off to good starts. He's tinkered with the starting lineup a little bit the last couple of games, trying to find that formula, but a confident start for the Bulldogs.
Butler looking to snap a three-game skid. The last game, a home loss to Villanova on Wednesday. Of course, Villanova, though, one of the best teams in the Big East, as Arnold tries a shot from beyond the arc that won't go.
Yeah, this is a Butler team that has just been really close in a lot of these games. They held a halftime lead in that Villanova loss. Their other two losses as of late have been by just 4 points each.
Meanwhile, Yukon with the defensive stop. Sarah Williams, the one post in the game here for the Huskies. You mentioned Zabel starting a guard, going with the four-guard lineup, which we saw UConn do quite a bit last game against DePaul. Speaking of Williams, she finds her shot in the mid-range.
Gino Oriana, we talked to him before the game. He's looking for Sarah Williams to start to be more consistent at this time of year. She had a big game in the win over Tennessee and more of a so-so game against DePaul. He must like this aggressive start from her.
Aggressiveness was the word he used in what he needs to see from the 6'4" senior forward and Sarah Williams. The defense, though, aggressive for UConn as Zabel flies out of play. This UConn Husky team, led by head coach Gino Auriemma, been on the bench there for more than 4 decades. Leads the nation in career wins, win percentage, national championships with 12, and this team poised to win back-to-back ships, at least it would seem this year, as they have been absolutely crushing their opponents here recently, Kim.
Yeah, you mentioned how they've been steamrolling through the Big East, but they've really been steamrolling through anybody. You'd have to go back as far as that Michigan game in November to when they played a game in which they didn't win by 25 plus points. They've won 19 straight games by 25 points or more.
Longest streak in Division I over the last 25 years of 25 plus points. To cap off what Kim was just saying and just how dominant this UConn team has been. Beating teams like Iowa, top 10 team, as Johnson is able to get it off the glass.
I like the poise of Butler. They've handled this press relatively well. You obviously have to be strong with the ball in the half court as well, but they have looked poised and under control in the opening minutes.
Shade off iron, Jackson the rebound. Johnson, by the way, a couple possessions ago, called for her first, the team's first foul here in the early going. But the Bulldogs with a very competitive start here, exactly what Coach Austin Parkinson was looking for from his group. Mentioning they have to really just take it play by play, possession by possession, focusing on their own execution, going up against the best team in the country. 3 to shoot, running out of time here. The Bulldogs got to get it up. Johnson heaves it. Zabel reels in the rebound, and Fudd brings it up the floor. 5'11" graduate student guard out of Arlington, Virginia, AZ Fudd, one of the leaders in the nation in three-point percentage. There's Shade, who's cutting, touched out of play. It'll stay here. Butler, led by head coach Austin Parkinson in his 4th year at the helm here, did an amazing job really coming in and invigorating this program, but a lot of new pieces for the Bulldogs this season. A flurry of transfers in the starting lineup. 4, in fact, have been regularly starting this season. Mallory Miller, a transfer, Caroline Dotsie, McKenna Johnson, as I mentioned, getting the start, and Sanaya Jackson, the Valpo transfer. Her twin sister, Nevaeh Jackson, also coming in off the bench for the Bulldogs. Zabel on the drive. Zabel gets to the cup.
Nice baseline out of bounds, but a cross court to get it to Zabel, who is known for her three-point shooting. So she was well defended and is able to rip through on the drive.
Zabel leading the way with 4 points, and it's another takeaway here for the Yukon defense. Zabel trying to find Arnold, who just lost the handle.
And Gino Oriema giving the layup motion over there. Allie, just take the layup. Anytime you hear Gino talking about it, the concerns with his team, which are very few, he mentions the turnovers, but that time you're able to turn Butler over and KK Arnold in the blink of an eye with the layup. That'll make up for the missed layup and the turnover from Zabel. KK Arnold just gets her hand around. That's what Austin Parkinson said. He talked to his team about the basics of coming to meet the passes. I mean, you can't just stand and think that a pass is going to get there against UConn, especially in the full court.
Going back to the last time these teams met on December 28th in Indianapolis, as Strong gets it inside and gets the roll.
And we're seeing the aggressiveness from Sarah Williams that Gino Oriema is looking for. That was a really deep post up. She demanded the ball from Ashlyn Shade.
Williams now with 4 points, 2 of 2 from the floor, but a 3-ball splashed in by Lily Zeenstra on the other side. Also a player that Coach Parkinson is going to be happy to see starting aggressive.
Yeah, she's really the only returner. Wow, what a zip pass from KK Arnold. And an N1 for Sarah Williams, who must have heard Gino Oriema's message to her loud and clear in practice since the last game.
Williams with 6 points now.
And look at that feed in from KK Arnold, who comes off the screen. No defender is with her. And Sarah Williams has just gotten to gaps, gotten to openings, and Arnold able to lead her with that pass.
As Kim mentioned, 2 points for Williams last game against DePaul. No rebounds for the 6'4" senior forward. But 2 games ago, as there's another turnover for Shade, calls her own number, comes up short. And there's a foul on Shade as she was fighting for that rebound, trying to take it from Dotsie.
Well, this is where you have to be careful when you play against UConn, because this is where the waves could start to hit you when they turn you over in the backcourt time and time again for layups. So right now, just taking care of the ball, trying to get it over half court is the priority for Butler.
Going back to the point I was making earlier, UConn had a 48-9 edge in points off turnovers the last time these teams met. And once again, knocked out of bounds, but it will be Butler ball.
Now it's Kaylee Heckel in off the bench right away, just denying in that pass. This is almost a tougher defensive lineup to go up against when she comes in the game, because her, Arnold, and Fudd at the top, that is a scary trio.
And this Butler team without one of their main ball handlers in Addison Baxter, Coach Parkinson mentioning, not the greatest matchup to be missing her with the pressure that this UConn defense provides. Interesting to see KK Arnold playing alongside Kaylee Heckel, who often has stepped in for her running the points. Nice cut though, and Jackson makes the most of it. Butler down just 5. Williams. Jackson the rebound. Williams though leading the way with 7 points. And here comes the UConn defense stepping up yet again. Heckel on the break, plays it up and in.
She is one of the best finishers in the country. Credit to AZ Fudd for passing that. It was almost out of bounds, but Heckel somehow corrals it in and gets it to go in.
Junior guard Kennedy Langham bringing the ball up, just checked in a bit ago for Butler, along with Anna Wypich, who runs it down back over half court and gets called for the offensive foul. KK Arnold took a shot there.
Yeah, KK Arnold's flashers to the middle of the floor. You heard him mention those traps. You really have to try to stay out of those aggressive traps that UConn is looking to put on.
Yeah, the turnover battle with Coach Parkinson identified is going to be key for his team to staying in this game. And speaking of into the game is Jenna Alfie, and onto the score sheet.
UConn has dominated the paint early in this game. It was Sarah Williams to start, now Alfie off the bench. That's 14 points in the paint for the Huskies.
Heckel stays in the game along with Shade, Fudd, while Alfie checks in and Zabel stays on the floor. A little shot fake there from Miller, can't get it to go. Heckel pushing, Heckel flying forward, gets denied. What a defensive play by Mallory Miller.
Yeah, Mallory Miller is going to get a little breather here, but really nice size at 6'4". transferring from Arizona State. She was injured last year, and getting to the position, using her length, staying out of the way, and not be whistled for a foul. Really impressive timing there.
Miller was first-team All-State in volleyball. That kind of looked like a volleyball swat as Bud hits in the mid-range, automatic. And there is a foul called as Heckel is trying to hassle Langham, the ball handler there for Butler.
And when we came out of that Austin Parkinson huddle, we saw him talking to the officials, saying, look for those fouls on the press. Credit to the officials. They are calling the reach-ins.
Second team foul, first foul for Heckel here in this first quarter. Butler does have 4 team fouls, so something to keep an eye on in the last 3 minutes. Could send UConn to the bonus. There's the track. Heckel gets her hands on the ball cleanly that time. Jump ball, but it stays here thanks to the possession area.
You have to try to stay out of that corner area because UConn is continuing to transition that full court press into a half court trap right over that midline. So you have to try to get the ball down the floor or to the middle of it.
They do a really good job is once you kind of get over to one of the sidelines, just collapsing on you there. Some good ball movement here though for the Bulldogs, and a foul is called.
Yeah, back-to-back whistles on
That's
Katie Heckel.
Yep, 2 for Heckel there.
And the coaches, UConn coaches agreed. I looked over at Associate Head Coach Chris Daly. She said, yep, she shoved her with 2 hands. Heckel's going to have to head out.
Heckel checking out there. KK Arnold back on the floor. Langham brings it back out. Veenstra taken away by Bud. Bud on the dribble, kicks it back out. Bud in the corner, yes!
And on display on that sequence, 2 things that Maisie Fudd has done very well this season. One is steal the ball. Her steal numbers are way at a career high. She gets almost 2.5 per game. And then, of course, we all know about that 3-point shooting. Butler losing her a little bit in the corner.
Bud with 3 steals against DePaul, 57 on the season, adding on to that here today as UConn is on a 9-0 run, 12-2 run in the last 3 minutes and change. As it is UConn basketball, the defense really has been setting the tone here in this first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, all 5 UConn players are so dialed into what they're doing defensively in the half court. You see the heavy denials. They're not allowing easy catches, easy reversals. So for Butler, you really have to be intentional with screening, with some backdoor cuts, because no pass is going to be easy against this defense.
UConn's lead up to 14, and Butler has turned the ball over 9 times. With a couple minutes to go here in this first quarter. As Fudd comes up short, Alfie hits the deck trying to fight for the rebound out of play. Continuing to run the press. Coach Dino Oriema talking about how this time of year they have to try to hone in on the details, find little ways they can improve. Areas of the game they know that are going to impact them come March.
Sorry to interrupt you, but there was an open layup there for Butler. They didn't see the cutter.
Saw the cut as well. 8 on the shot clock now though, running out of time. Datsy thrown up in a whistle. Oh, Alfie's shaking her head there. Comes to cleaning some things up. Don't want to give up a foul late in the shot clock as Lily Stoddard goes to the free throw line for 2 opportunities. Alfie was called for her first, 4th team foul in this first quarter. At the line here, the 6'4" senior forward, Lily Stoddard for the Butler Bulldogs. One of the few players who did not transfer in this season, Crown Point, Indiana native, transferred in from Purdue prior to last year. Get some early minutes. Trying to get the ball inside to Alfie.
Yeah, that was the right idea from Sarah Williams. You see the 2 of them connecting a little bit. Maybe the pass could have been a little softer, but I like the intention. We've seen this aggressive start from Sarah Williams on both ends.
One thing that Coach Oriema talked about after last game, even against DePaul, was the team needs to find ways to produce without Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd on the floor as Langham pulls up, Butler recollects for the second chance. Jackson knocks it down from beyond the arc.
Yeah, that was Nevaeh Jackson, the twin sisters. She's recently come back from a missed time due to a broken hand, so it's a good sign for her. She's been struggling to find that shot in the 2 games since she's been back.
6-foot junior guard transferring in from Valpo, just her 3rd game back after missing 6 weeks, as Kim mentioned, with that hand injury. About a 1 second, less than a second difference here. Game clock, shot clock. Arnold on the drive. UConn's got to get it off. Shade. Now Alfie brings in the O-board, but not enough time to put it back up.
Adjustment, but as we said, 9 turnovers in the first 10 minutes. Pretty solid, but Gino never satisfied.
AZ Fudd misses from beyond the arc. Kim, if I'm not mistaken, you're getting flashbacks to that zigzag drill. I believe Coach said you should grab your shoes from the hotel. He said with Sarah Strong out, they need some reinforcements.
Yeah, we asked him, probably 40 minutes before the game who was going to start in place for. He said it could be one of you two. Yeah. He wasn't sure at the moment. I'm ready to lace him up.
Yeah,
let me know, Coach G.
I'm just saying, Kim spends a lot of time in the gym. Me, on the other hand, I was like, you don't want to see me touch a basketball, Coach. And thank goodness, this is a team that is full of depth. Again, Blanca Quinones, the freshman forward, not available. She's been a spark plug this season, and Sarah Strong out just due to rest. And I think that's something that this UConn team has to look at this time of year when March is right around the corner. And he talked about just how much Strong puts on her legs. As there's a brief pause here after a drink was spilled on the court, just being kind of cleaned up right there. You see on the left side of your screen. Another forced turnover from the UConn defense. This time we've got a spilled drink. Oh no, is that an adult beverage? It's pretty early in the day, but go ahead, Queen. You know what? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Kim. It's a Saturday, all right?
And it is cold. Whatever it takes to warm you up.
I mean, absolutely.
I almost had to put on the winter coat to broadcast this game inside.
It was quite chilly on our walk over. Maybe 20 degrees and blustery snow. Right around People's Bank Arena. Fudd, automatic from the corner.
It's just a simple pick and pop. She gets her feet set so quickly, gets squared up to that rim. And that's her 2nd triple from that same corner so far in this game. Yep, Fudd already into double figures with 10. Also want to note, Ashlyn Shade with 4 assists. Something you asked Coach about. She's coming off the game with 8 points, 4 assists as well. It's just how so many of his guards produce. They're efficient in their shooting numbers. He's got guards across the lineup shooting more than 55% from the floor, but then also the assist numbers are extremely high. Yeah, he said that's why my team is so good. We have kind of our big 3 scorers, Blanca Quinones, who's out today, Sarah, who's out today, and AZ. But he said my other players are so good at playing their roles, and Ashlyn Shade's been playing really well. Heckle's been playing well. And here's the track once again. KK Arnold gets her hands on the ball, jump ball, and it will go the other direction this time. Anytime we have covered UConn this season, the opposing coaches say the same thing. It's so hard to replicate this pressure in practice with your practice guys, and we're seeing that on display here because I'm sure Austin Parkinson has told his team at least 10 times so far, stay out of the corners. But it is easier said than done, but especially a post player like that. You want to try to keep the ball in the hands of the guards in those sort of spots. Both Jackson sisters on the floor now for Butler, while Heckle just checked back in for the UConn Huskies. Miller back on the floor as well. 5 on the shot clock, running out of time here. The Bulldogs. Tough shot off the corner of the basket, and the shot goes up, and it did get off in time. Great motor from Sanaya Jackson, the twin sister of Nevaeh, who we mentioned earlier in the game. Sanaya is a redshirt sophomore due to missing all of last year with a knee surgery. Well, Nevaeh Jackson did play last season, but is the one who's missed 6 weeks this year with that hand injury. And it's hard to keep straight with the twins, and they look so much alike too. Oh yeah, identical twins, and Austin Parkinson talking to his players there because I thought that was a really well-defended possession. They were switching everything 1 to 4. They were in passing lanes. They were aggressive, and then you bail out AZ Fudd with kind of a weak foul on the shot attempt when everything else was so good. And it was Nevaeh Jackson who was called for the foul, which is her first. Team's first here in the early going of the second quarter. I think that was only AZ Fudd's 2nd missed free throw of the season. She's 97% before that miss. 34 of 35 from the free throw line. And you kind of heard almost a gasp from the crowd, which not like the free throw is particularly influential to this game based on the scoreline, but just the fact that she never misses. People are like, what?
Corner try opportunity for Dotsie. Williams comes up with a board. Fudd. Zeenstra trying to grab onto the rebound and is fouled. It's interesting because Coach Parkinson is getting pretty animated over there as we talked about him really pushing for some of those reaching fouls, and you pointed out on the track as well that the arm contact.
Yeah, I mean, credit to him. We saw him speaking to the officials to make them aware to look out for these things, and they are getting some whistles in those departments.
Arnold was called for her first foul in the last play. Also the team first in the second quarter. Butler, a team with a lot of new pieces, as I mentioned, 4 transfers in the starting lineup today. Lily Zeenstra, the only returning starter from last season. So the record maybe not where they'd like it to be at 3-10, but coach feels like they have a ton of talent. They're in every game and can win every game. It's just a matter of putting all the pieces together as Jackson's shot just rolls out.
And the team isn't just new, it's a very young group. A lot of sophomores, a lot of players, a couple players who didn't play at all last season due to injury. So he said only 1 senior on this team. They're still very much evolving into who they could be over the next couple of weeks.
Another turnover there, though. They're 11th of the game.
Nice job of getting back by Butler. That's a possession where UConn normally scores off a 3. Ooh, another bailout foul on AZ Fudd.
Fudd stepping into mid-range there. We'll go to the free throw line as Zeenstra was called for her first.
Yeah, I'd have to see the replay on that to see if it was a legitimate foul, but for Butler, they want to be very well aware that they're not playing a good... Oh, that didn't look like much at all there. I can see why coach is frustrated. So that one we'd have to give a pass on the foul, but in the event that it were a legitimate foul, you don't want to defend well for 15 to 20 seconds and then bail out a jump shooter. You want to close it with a strong closeout.
And you definitely don't want to bail out AZ Fudd because we pointed out she's now only missed 2 free throws this season. She's also responsible for the last 10 UConn points, I believe 11 with the last free throw made. So she has been on a tear coming into this game, and that has continued in terms of her scoring momentum.
Kaylee Heckel back in the game with the 2 fouls. She is non-stop on the defensive end. That's what we talked about earlier. There is no easy pass against this UConn defense. You think you have an entry pass for a layup, and Heckel just sneaks in and deflects it.
The sophomore transferring in from USC has been a great addition for this UConn team. Coach mentioning in times when KK Arnold might struggle, you've got Heckel, such a high-level player who can come in and run the point and defend as Shade steps into a shot. Also can defend at a high level and brings a little bit of a different energy than KK Arnold.
Yeah, Kaylee Heckel had some really big moments in that big win over Tennessee.
Heckel 6 points, 4 boards, 6 assists last game against DePaul as there's a whistle and UConn gets it right back.
Yeah, another turnover, and Sid Parkinson just look at his young women like, what are we doing out there? I mean that's the effect of the UConn defense. Your head gets a little clouded, you get sped up, and you throw a pass into the stands sometimes.
High pitch there with a turnover for the Bulldogs. Fudd cuts right through the defense. Too strong. Heckel comes away with the ball, though. Fudd with an easy big play for K Pink game. Fans were encouraged to wear pink in support of breast cancer awareness. UConn program always a champion of that and raising money and funds as well to support that. And Sarah Strong has been a key piece of that as a K Yao servant leader, partnered with the NIL store on a Play for K collection specifically to benefit the K Yao Cancer Fund.
Yeah, that is an incredible use of the NIL, all proceeds from those sales, so go check out her merchandise.
Williams with a post move down low.
Sarah Williams was named to the top 10 finalist list for Center of the Year. I'd say she's playing like it to start this game. How aggressive has she been in the post?
Williams with 9 points in just 11 minutes as UConn's defense tracks the Butler Bulldogs and comes up with it yet again. Williams, though, off to quite the start. 9 points, a big response after just 2 in 18 minutes against DePaul last game. And as Kim mentioned, a top 10 candidate for the 2026 Lisa Leslie Award. It's been an adjustment, though, transferring in from Wisconsin, where she was a 2-time All-Big Ten first-team selection, former Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten Conference. that Wisconsin offense really ran through her. Speaking of running through, Zabel runs right through the lane to the basket.
Ali Zabel started today, usually comes off the bench. What an asset. Oh, and then the steal right under the basket.
Scramble on the floor, though. Zabel almost took it away and kind of bobbled it a little bit. Both teams scrambling for the ball.
That full court pressure is just suffocating. They score the bucket and they set up into that press instantly on the catch. There's 2 or 3 players in front of you with active hands, trying to get their hands on the ball, trying to deflect your next pass. I mean, you just can't take a deep breath against this UConn defense.
No, you cannot. 4 turnovers in the last 3.5 minutes for Butler as they keep the ball in that help ball call. And it's Langham, who's been extensively running the point in this game, dribbles it out of play that time for another Butler turnover, their 15th. Last time these teams met, Butler turned it over 29 times. On pace right now to surpass that in this game.
And again, you mentioned they are without their point guard, Madison Baxter, which is just really tough to be out your primary ball handler against the most high-pressure defense in the country.
Good half-court defense here, though, from the Bulldogs. Arnold from the top of the key splashes it in.
Nice assist from Sarah Williams out of the post, who got the entry pass and then kind of like a magnet, 3 players collapsed around her. She stayed patient and kicked it out for KK.
24-point lead now for the Huskies, and yet again they dive on the ball, come up with a held ball, and the possession arrow sends it the other way this time. 6 turnovers now in the last 4.5 minutes for Butler.
It's an area of concern for them. As we mentioned, their last game against Villanova, they held a lead at halftime, and then Coach Parkinson told us before the game they had 8 turnovers in that 3rd quarter against Villanova, which would end up being their demise.
Yeah, and it's been an issue for this Butler team all season. They average 18.5 per game, which is the most in the Big East. As Zabel dials it up from 3. Zeenstra the board. 12-0 run here for Yukon in the last 4:15. Butler has not scored in the last 4.5 minutes. Nice pass inside. Jackson gets it to go.
That was a really solid offensive possession for the Bulldogs. Crisp ball movement across the lane, changing sides of the floor. And then Jackson, nice finish against 6'5" El Alfie.
There have been a couple stretches where we've seen some good offensive possessions and ball movement from the Butler Bulldogs, and they aren't shooting it poorly per se. 44% from the floor is pretty good against this UConn defense. As Arnold steps in at the elbow, ball kind of batted around before there's a whistle.
You'd almost, if you're Butler, you'd almost rather that foul not be called so that you can push the ball up the floor in transition. Now you have to inbound it against that set-up full-court press that has caused headaches.
That is Al Alfie's 2nd foul, by the way. 2nd team foul here on UConn, and once again the defense does it. Shade. $17 turnovers forced by this UConn defense. They average 25. We're not at the halftime break yet. Arnold. 8 on the shot clock. Fudd in the lane. No. Al Alfie, yes! Putback goes down. And UConn is in total control.
Al Alfie is such a strong piece off the bench, especially without Sarah Strong playing some added size. She really gets after it on the glass.
2 for 2 now for Al Alfie, plus 4 rebounds in just 5 minutes of play. When you talk about efficiency, it seems like every player on this Huskies roster makes the most of their minutes, and part of that is the standard that head coach Gino Auriemma sets. He was talking to us about, like, we don't care necessarily about the score. You have to play at a certain level anytime you are on the basketball floor.
Yeah, I mean, Jana Al Alfie would probably start at 99% of other Division I teams. That's the only one that comes to mind where she maybe not is UCLA, because they have Lauren Betts inside, but El Alfie really good at playing her role, something that Gino Auriemma talked to us about before the game. Team-wide, his players outside of the big 3 scores just really at a high level of doing what they're asked to do for the team.
Al Alfie, the first UConn player from Egypt, also her dad, who's been the head coach of the Egyptian national team. Miller for 3. Arnold flies in for the rebound. I always think you can tell a coach's kid when it comes to the IQ and the work rate as well. Shade. Zeenstra pushing, the sophomore guard. Finds Jackson, who had some space beyond the arc, and Williams
I'm laughing at Gino's,
touched it out of play.
Gino's reaction to that, just a blank stare as there were 3 Huskies who could have grabbed that rebound. There was not a single Bulldog in the vicinity, and not one comes up with it. He's going to have to take a seat after that.
But these are the things where if you're Coach Auriemma, despite the scoreline, like you got to hone in on the little things, right? And maximizing every single possession and every play. So maybe it's communication on one day that you try to really focus on.
He's still just mouth agape that no one grabbed that rebound. That's going to be shown in film multiple times. Clock. We're going to have to move a little quickly here.
Miller trying to back down Williams. Miller draws the foul. Williams with her first foul.
Mallory Miller, nice piece for Austin Parkinson, and 6'4". She has nice footwork in the post. We know she could step out and hit the 3. She makes about 1 3 per game at 35%.
Yeah, the 6'4" redshirt sophomore forward transferring in from Arizona State, as we mentioned earlier, missing last season with Coach Parkinson, and talking to him earlier this season about her. Just really likes the versatile skill set. Feels like she's a major mismatch in the Big East with that ability, as you mentioned, to step out. He feels like she has some quickness to be able to play on the outside, but also some post moves to play back to the basket, as we just saw. Fun. Too strong. Overboard, though, they're brought in by Ashlyn Shane. Fudd trying again, and the whistle is blown, and Coach Parkinson's animated once again over there on the bench. Not happy with the foul call. Miller called for her first, 3rd team foul of the second quarter. Arnold into Williams. Williams going to work. Williams can't get it to go.
Nice move. Unfortunately, couldn't get the finish, but nice footwork. There's that trap.
UConn applying a ton of pressure to Sanaya Jackson, who had nowhere to go. Eventually, UConn hit it out of play.
Looks like Coach Parkinson, I mean, yeah, he's calling for a foul. I could see multiple points of contact in that short sequence.
It's called UConn basketball. So they get the chance on the offensive end, but you can understand some of his frustration for sure.
You do have to be aware as soon as you rebound the ball, you've got to get it up and out of that baseline area, knowing that a trap is coming.
3 to shoot. Fudd lets it fly. No. Zabel the rebound. Arnold kick out. Shade from the corner. Oh yeah!
How about that creation from KK Arnold? Just attacking strong, drawing in the defense, coming to the jump stop. A perfectly placed pass in the shooting pocket.
A little over a 2-second differential here. Game clock, shot clock. Butler moving the basketball well again. Miller's 3 rattles out. Shot clock off now. Arnold around the screen. Zabel traveled.
Those are the little areas that Gino wants to clean up. If you're in a 1-possession game in March, can't afford that turnover.
UConn, though, getting some good production today without Sarah Strong. 24 points in the first quarter, 20 here in the second. Looking for a last stop, and there's a last-second heave that misses everything. First performance, at least from the field, 5 of 13, but did have some clear looks that did not go down, in addition to being bailed out at free throw line a couple of times, as the third quarter is now underway here, and fans are on their feet, bringing the energy on this Saturday afternoon. 10th all-time meeting between UConn and Butler. The Huskies have never lost in this series. Once again, Kim Adams, Kylan Mills here with you. Appreciate you being with us as Butler tries to get on the board here in this third quarter. Running out of time here, gotta go. Johnson gets it up in time, blocked by Williams. Miller tries it again.
Too bad didn't get any points there because that was a really good effort from Sanaya Jackson to keep that possession alive.
It's good to see this Butler team still flying around. They've been diving on the floor, running for rebounds. They're actually only, or they're rather +1 when it comes to the glass against this UConn team. Rebounding not necessarily the identity, as Fudd gets an easy score inside.
Oh, easy Fudd. Big guard in the post. That one actually made her smile.
That's what I was
little
gonna
turn and face up and under.
Oh,
right, easy.
There was a smile after that. I like it. As UConn gets called for the foul, continuing to utilize that full court press. And Gabby Wilkie's checking in here for Butler.
Yeah, easy Fudd going big guard here. The post up, turn face, rim and go. Up and under to the opposite side of that rim. Add that to her display of offense in this game.
Arnold displaying some offense.
Her burst of speed is unparalleled across the country. There are a couple other players in that department. Jelani Cambridge, Hannah Hidalgo, but she can just hit you with that first step and she's gone.
Speaking of Arnold applying some defensive pressure, and Butler cannot get it over half court. Another turnover for the Bulldogs. They're 21st in this game. UConn has come out really strong in second halves their last couple of games. Going back to the Tennessee game, a great test for this UConn team is Arnold makes it look easy.
Yeah, just a simple read from Arnold. She had flared out over the screen. Defender kind of sunk low, and she just one dribble, pull up, found some space. Good start to the second half for KK Arnold.
Arnold now with 9 points on 4 of 6 shooting, 1 board and 2 assists. Again, I mentioned the guard, so efficient for UConn. She shoots more than 55% from the floor. And then the assist to turnover ratio, 3rd in the country for KK Arnold, averaging more than 4.5 dishes per game. Jackson puts it on the deck. The other Jackson. 2 to shoot. Jackson's got to get it up.
That's multiple possessions to start the second half where UConn has played defense strongly for 30 seconds and forced Butler into a last-second lead.
UConn's defense just as stifling in the half court as it is in the press as Williams draws the foul. Talked about the aggressive start for Sarah Williams, 9 points on 4 of 6 shooting.
Yeah, this continues to be one of the best offensive games I've seen from her this season. Operative word you mentioned is aggressive. I mean, she is demanding the ball from her teammates, and then when she gets the ball, she's being patient, making her reads, but when she knows it's her time to make her move, she is going in it with full force.
Williams now with 11 points, going back to that Tennessee game where UConn was tied at the half. The first time all season that's happened. They really came out in the third quarter and made a statement, and Sarah Williams was great in that second half. Finished with 12 points. Coach Oriema said after the game, among the best halves she's played this season as Zeenstra cuts to the basket. Nicely done.
Yeah, really nice recognition from Zeenstra, being overplayed on the perimeter. Beats her defender on the sharp backdoor cut.
Sophomore guard, I mentioned the only returning starter for Butler is one of their key pieces. Coach Parkinson told us came off the bench last game. Really wanted to see how she would respond. Shade response, getting to the basket.
Shade was a screener for AZ Fudd. A lot of attention went with Fudd in the paint. And Shade finds an opening down that left lane.
The ability for these UConn guards to read the defense and make the right decision every single time is beyond impressive. Whether it be making the pass, whether it be taking their own shot. 7 on the shot clock. Arnold gets a hand on it, and Jackson is called for the travel. Nevaeh Jackson, that is. Anna Wypich checking back in here for the Bulldogs as Kenna Johnson heads to the bench. Freshman guard Anna Wypich, the most consistent shooter on this team, according to Coach Parkinson, shooting nearly 40% from beyond the arc. good experience for some of the youngsters on this Butler team. As you pointed out, they are an overall young and very new group.
Yeah, Whitepitch has only taken one shot so far in this game. See if they look to get her some better looks.
Heckle checking back in, finds Zobel, and Zobel, one of the best shooters for the Huskies.
This UConn team leads the nation in assists, and you see why on a play like that, with one guard getting into the paint, fundamental coming to a jump stop, finding an open shooter.
Zobel now with 9 points. That was her first made three, though. We mentioned her career day just a few weeks back with 34 points against Xavier back on the 28th of January. Tied a UConn record with 10 made threes in that game. However, Kaylee Heckle just called for her third foul. Something to keep an eye on as you expect her to head to the bench at some point here soon. Jackson. And there's a whistle for a foul.
The energy of Sanaya Jackson has been really impressive. It was just her on the rebound that saved that possession. It looks like they may have given it to the team rather than an individual rebound. That would have been her 10th, but she already has 9 rebounds in this game. She's made really strong cuts to the basket, and that time gets rewarded with a trip to the free throw line.
Foul called on Zobel was her first. Sanaya Jackson, the redshirt sophomore, the leading scorer for this Butler team as well, averaging nearly 10 points per game. Spent 2 seasons at Valpo, averaged about 10 points per game there in her freshman campaign. Led the team also with 51 steals, so not just what she does on the offensive end, high motor, defensive disruptor as well. Leads Butler with 44 steals coming into this one. Rare miss for Zobel from beyond the arc as there's a whistle on the loose ball. Back to Zobel, the Big East Player of the Week, was named on Monday. Just the second UConn bench player to earn that honor. Wilkie got called for her first on that last play, and there was another whistle. An offensive foul called there. Offensive foul was called on Williams. Denied by KK Arnold. Doing work defensively.
KK Arnold, the possession.
And so many ways to get it done.
Yeah, UConn down a total of 5 players. You saw Ice Brady, Morgan Shelley there as well. They've been out the majority of the season, those two. But that's what's different about this year's UConn team is the depth. I mean, the players who could come in off the bench and contribute, like an Ali Zobel, like a Kaylee Heckle. It's been really impressive that UConn really hasn't missed a beat without 2 of their top 3 scorers this afternoon.
7 players have checked in for UConn. All of them have scored. All of them except Kaylee Heckle with 4 more points. Jackson comes up short. Ball out of play. Last touch by UConn.
But when we spoke to Gino Auriemma before the game, he said, if we're going to get to where we want to be in March, which is the final team standing, they need AZ Blanca and Sarah playing at their highest levels. So hopefully those 2 can get back in the lineup soon.
Another thing Coach Auriemma said after last game was that the team has to be able to avoid slow stretches, even in games that aren't close. They had just a 13-point second quarter against DePaul as Whitepitch hits in the mid-range for Butler. But going back to that game against DePaul, only 13 points. The second quarter got to be a little bit of a slog, and he said we've had those moments this season where we've just struggled to find an offensive rhythm for stretches of the game. And he said we cannot afford to let that happen when you look ahead to March and playing some of the best competition in the country. Alfie battling through traffic.
That's why I think that Tennessee game was really good for them, because it was tied at the half. They had to look themselves in the mirror a little bit and think, what do we need to change? And they certainly changed some things as they ended up routing the Lady Vols.
Fisher, Fisher aggressive just after checking into the game, gets 2.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. You just go down the roster of this UConn team, and whether it's the 6th option or the 10th, someone's going to come in and give you a bucket.
The freshman guard, Khalees Fisher, just checking in the prior possession. Wilkie, putback chance for Jackson. She's been a spark plug here for this Bulldogs team.
Yeah, she has been a huge bright spot. So impressed by just the motor she continues to play with. She hasn't taken a possession off. She's doing the dirty work, going for the offensive rebounds.
And that was her 12th rebound, which is a career high for Sanaya Jackson to go with 9 points on 4 of 8 shooting.
I hope they ended up giving her that one where it said the team rebound. They must have.
Arnold goes to the ground. Wilkie got her hands on the ball. And Arnold fell hard.
Yeah, how about this play from the sophomore Gabby Wilkie, retreating and then getting all ball against KK Arnold.
Wilkie averaging about 8.5 minutes, the sophomore guard off the bench for Butler, but makes a big play against the top team in the country and one of the best point guards in the country.
KK Arnold wasn't satisfied with getting her shot blocked. She took matters into her own hands on this ensuing possession, getting herself to the free throw line.
Yep, 2 shots coming while Nevaeh Jackson gets called for her second foul, 3rd team foul of this 3rd quarter. Arnold shooting just about 68%, a little over that from the charity stripe. Arnold now into double figures with that free throw. Misses the second, but now with 10 points, 1 board, 2 assists. Flau'jae checking back in here for the Huskies, replaces KK Arnold. And the junior guard, Flau'jae, just one of those glue players who quietly makes smart plays. I just feel like she doesn't get talked about a ton because of the shine of Sarah Strong, AZ Fudd, and then even KK Arnold as Alfie. Her shot rolls out and there's a foul.
Yeah, Flau'jae has always been a steadying force, a constant, but her play on the floor has really picked up as of late. In her last 4 games, she's averaging about 10 points per game, 5 assists per game, which is really impressive to me. Her 3-point shot is picking up. She's made 9 threes in the last 4 games. And there is a 3 from Ali Zabel, the current Big East Player of the Week.
Zabel now into double figures with 11 points. UConn with 4 players scoring in double figures, and that's the balance and the depth that this UConn team has at their disposal. Dotsie responds with a 3 ball.
I'm pretty sure I read that there's only been 2 players who ever received Big East Player of the Week as a reserve, coming in off the bench. And the other was Shea Ralph, the former UConn Husky, who is now the head coach at Vanderbilt.
Yep, Zabel is just the 2nd UConn bench player to receive a Player of the Week honor. Shade, right as we were talking about it, hits the shot there. You mentioned the uptick in her performance here recently. 8 points against DePaul in double figures the 2 prior games. Nice ball movement, and Dotsie cashes in.
Yeah, Dotsie saw a little bit of a mismatch there. A couple of inches on Flau'jae, did a nice job of getting position deep in the paint.
Butler hitting 3 of their last 3 field goal attempts. Heckel calls her own number that time.
That was smooth. Usually we see Kaylee Heckel flying in, doing a backflip en route to a layup. That time she kept it safe. Beautiful pull-up.
Coach Auriemma saying that Heckel plays with a reckless abandon. But that's some of what gives her an edge. The aggressiveness, the speed at which she plays, and the intensity. Fisher with some intensity, lays it in through traffic. The freshman making a statement.
She took some contact as well, a couple of bumps along the road. Tough lay-in.
Felice Fisher with a couple of baskets, averages just over 2.5 points per game. Shot clock off now, Butler hunting for the final look. Langham. Oh, great pass. Miller to Dotsie, the connection there. UConn trying to get the last shot off. Heckel hits it off iron at the buzzer. 3rd quarter in the books. UConn with 24 points, very consistent throughout this game. They hold the 68-35 lead after 3. Coach Parkinson continuing to coach up his players, but this UConn team just unstoppable.
And Doug.
There it is, Limu, the 50-yard line. Soon we'll be telling the whole stadium how Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance to save people hundreds. Whoa! Looks like we're walking.
get them at halftime. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Taxes was chasing updates. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert, doing it all for you, so you can chase this feeling. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax.
Okay, so guys, just smile and say, switch to T-Mobile in just 15 minutes and get an iPhone 17 on them, no trade-in needed.
Why can't we just say cheese?
Okay, cheese.
Now you can switch to T-Mobile in just 15 minutes and get a new iPhone 17 on us. No trade-in needed.
She's still out. I found an apartment.
It's a lot closer.
All that you see within these four walls, the words you hear, are never to be repeated.
Taxes was chasing updates and getting nowhere. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert, doing it all for you, while keeping you in the loop, so you can keep chasing this feeling. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax.
100 years ago, no one would insure cars for military members. So they did it themselves. A group of 25 soldiers backed each other. A century later, and we're still serving the military and their families. Not just because it's the right thing to do. It's in our DNA. Those values our founders shared: honor, service, loyalty, integrity. Those are the things we live by, and why our members know we'll be there. Because at USAA, we take care of our own.
Big East basketball is sponsored by Jeep. There's only one. There's also only one UConn Huskies, because this program has been so dominant throughout the course of history. They're trying to go back-to-back for the first time since winning 4 straight national championships from 2013 to 2016. They're also looking to go undefeated, and you're looking at photos of past UConn teams that have gone undefeated throughout the course of an entire season. And this is a team, Kim, that can very well do that.
I mean, that's a crazy montage, because most schools would be happy to have one undefeated season. We were just scrolling through a whole bunch as we look at the banners. You're right, there's a really strong chance that a 2026 banner could be hanging up there in a couple of months, and we have officially reached the 1-year mark since UConn lost a game. It was February 6th, 2025 when they lost at Tennessee. So it's been a full year of undefeated play.
And there was a travel called. Now, Alfie's bending over, though, looking like she might have taken a shot to the face, kind of squinting her eyes right now after being called for the travel. Going back to UConn's dominance, though, have won 60 straight Big East games. There you saw the play. 60 straight Big East games, including tournament games, and then 40 straight going back to last season. Just overall, 24-0 right now in the 2025-26 campaign.
I mean, it is, at this point, no more non-conference teams left on the schedule in the regular season. They have been rolling through the Big East. It is a real possibility that this team could have an undefeated season, but there are a couple of teams that would like to hand them that final loss in March or April.
UConn's scoring margin this year, nearly 40 points, 39.5, just over that mark. And it's not just been Big East teams, if that's your main knock. Miller knocking it down from beyond the arc.
She's impressive. I think she has a lot of upside for Butler, and in this Big East conference at 6'4", that is a really nice looking shot from long range.
Miller with her first made 3 in this game, but does have that versatility, having a tough shooting day with 5 points on 1 of 7 from the floor. As you pointed out, the redshirt sophomore still high upside in her first season in a Butler uniform. As there is a foul called on Miller, the broadcaster's jinx right on cue, her second. Heckle around the screen from the elbow, gets it to roll home.
I think Kylie Heckle's decision-making has really improved, and you see that in her assist-to-turnover numbers. Coming into this one, in the last 3 games, 17 assists to just 3 turnovers. Her shot selection has been really, really solid this afternoon.
Coach Oriema really complimentary of Heckel's contributions in that Tennessee game when KK Arnold was struggling. He said especially in the first half, Heckel provided a major boost off the bench. He thought she was great in that one as she almost loses the handle there, but he brought up the fact that coming in as a USC transfer, she didn't play in a lot of those high-profile matchups. He's like, not at least extensive minutes, so he's like, it's something she's still adjusting to, and he believes she's going to continue to get better in the high-pressure moments. Some pressure building, though. 5 on the shot clock. Shade on the drive. Not just an outside shooter.
Yeah, it's a high degree of difficulty, kind of knocked off of her path to the basket, finger roll finish high up on the glass. Okay, action, Shade.
Shade now 1 point away from reaching double figures, would be the 5th UConn player to do so in this game. Just to put an exclamation point on the balance without Sarah Strong or Blanca Quinones.
To mention, Corey Close has done outstanding things with that roster. That one loss came early in the season. They have rolled ever since. So much balance, so much depth. And then the SEC is tough. Everyone's beating each other. But right now, Texas looks really good. Oh, nice finish for Mallory Miller. But Texas with a big win the other night. Aaliyah Crump, impressive freshman back in the lineup. That gives them an added scoring punch to what's already there with Madison Booker and Maury Harmon. I'd say those teams are the top 3 for me right now. I'd be happy with any of those 3 teams in the national championship.
Alfie, but there is a travel called again. Go back to your point, Texas taking down LSU. LSU, another team that's kind of in that conversation in terms of the upper echelon, but Texas with the elite defense under Coach Vic Schaefer, in addition to the added scoring punch with Crump in the lineup. Good passing, and Miller makes the most of it.
Yeah, this Butler team has shown glimpses of some really good offense going up against one of the toughest defenses in the country, but when they have moved that ball quickly, when they haven't turned it over, it's been some really pretty offense.
Yeah, that's the thing about this UConn team. I know we've talked a lot about the steals and the turnovers forced as a foul is called, but they have the #1 scoring defense nationally. They're only giving up just over 50 points per game. They're holding opponents to 33.5% shooting from the floor, 4th nationally. I mean, the list goes on, and sometimes with teams that run that full court press, the high pressure, as Ayanna Patterson checks in and puts it up off the glass.
Bully ball, Patterson.
However, you can get it done, right? The 6'2" redshirt sophomore forward just checking in, a Fort Wayne, Indiana native, playing her 19th game this season. Good to see Coach Oriema getting to utilize some of that depth from the bench here for the Huskies. Wide pitch, too strong out of play. Well, back to UConn's defense, though, Kim. I do think it's really impressive sometimes with the teams that are heavy with pressing, heavy with ball pressure. They can give up easy twos when they get broken down. But UConn still is a great scoring defense and field goal percentage defense.
Yeah, and I think to win a national championship, you have to be so good on both ends of the floor. And that's what UConn is right now. That's what UCLA is right now. But the UConn disruption this season is on a different level. 25 forced turnovers per game. This is a team you do not want to go up against.
Now, Alfie, you've been mixing it up down low, and another foul is called. That's going to be her 3rd foul, in fact.
UConn going some zone here, 2-3 zone.
Ooh, and unfortunate miscue there for Butler with a backcourt violation. Wypitch couldn't run it down. 24th turnover here for the Bulldogs.
That's one that's just frustrating for Austin Parkton because it's really unforced. It's not a live ball turnover, so UConn's not going to run out for 2, but there was really no resistance from UConn on that sitting back in the zone that forced that turnover.
UConn also running out here with 2 bigs with 5 on the shot clock now. Fisher. Fisher's got to put it up. Misses everything for the shot clock violation. So there you go, 1 possession at a time. That's a win there for the Bulldogs. And there also have been some stretches where they played good defense. To me, it's really just been the turnovers and giving up in transition. A lot of easy baskets for UConn. Some good ball movement once again here for Butler. Patterson the rebound.
Yeah, really good offense again. Tic-tac-toe passing inside and out. Didn't get the shot to drop, but really positive look for Coach Parkinson's group.
Got to be excited about the future of this Butler program. Sophomore in the starting lineup. The freshman point guard out today. Shade. Whoa. Couple tough drives.
Yeah, this is as tough as I've seen her in terms of getting downhill and attacking.
Shade now with 11 points. 5 UConn players into double figures in scoring. Datsy splashes in the 3-ball.
Yeah, finally, Butler gets rewarded with the shot hitting the bottom of the net because they have had some really good possessions of ball movement, and that one drops down for Datsy.
Looking for some of those small wins. Again, they're shooting 40% from the floor. UConn holds teams typically to 33.5. Fisher with plenty of time beyond the arc, and Patterson flies to the ground. There's a whistle for a foul. Multiple players are kind of flying around transition buckets, but he brought up after last game against DePaul, he thought that the Blue Demons did a better job of controlling the turnovers, and he said it really forced us to work in the half-court offense, which is something they also want to hone in on. So as Butler's been able to limit some of the turnovers, it gives UConn a chance to really try to work some things out in terms of creating in the half-court. Kaylee Hackle continuing to run the point. Before that last break, she was just called for her 4th foul. She stays on the floor here for this final 3 minutes and change. This is some of that opportunity to figure out how you create without FUD or strong. Almost a turnover there. Now 6 on the shot clock. Hackle. Hackle has to heave it up. Almost got it to go. Butler trying to push up in transition. UConn does a good job getting behind the basketball. Johnson. Shade the rebound. I guess that's the question for this UConn team. Like, where does the creation come from without Strong or Fudd or even Sarah Williams on the floor?
I think they hopefully get Sarah Strong back in the game soon, but KK has been really good. She's on the bench right now. I think Kaylee Heppel has done a nice job of commanding the offense when it's been her at the point.
Oh, Alfie grabs her own miss after she rose up from the elbow. Hackle. Fisher cutting through the defense. Fisher with a couple of tough fakes.
Khalees Fisher has looked so good off the bench today. Averages only about 5 minutes per game, 3 points per game. She has gotten her own multiple times in this game.
And now Alfie with that last rebound of her own miss, now with a season high of 10 on the boards. She's 4 points as well. Making the most of her minutes is right there. She gets kind of caught up under the basket. 4 points, 10 rebounds in 19 minutes for the redshirt sophomore center. Butler looking to end a 2.5-minute scoring drought. Wide open is Datsy, too strong. And there's a foul called on Butler as they try to run down the rebound.
Butler has gotten some good looks from 3, especially here in the second half, but just unfortunately have not seen a strong percentage of them drop down. But I think there are some positives in terms of the good looks that they have created here in the game.
Absolutely. Wilkie was called for her second on that last play. A little bit of confusion here for UConn in the half court. Shade now on the ball, and she travels. So these are some good tests for some of these players deeper in UConn's bench to figure out what things look like in the half court.
If I were doing a scouting report on UConn, I'd say probably 90% of the time, all the guards like to attack to the right side. I try to take away that right hand. Easier said than done, of course, against the #1 team in the country. But if you watch AZ Fudd shade a couple times here, Arnold will go to the left. But a couple of the guards really favor that right side.
Patterson working on the block. Patterson gets it to go.
Everybody's getting involved here for the Huskies. At any point of the game, everyone's coming in and making an impact. I think every player has scored.
Yep, every player has scored at least 2 baskets, at least 4 points. 9 players who've rotated through for UConn. About a 5-second difference here. Game clock, shot clock. Shade running.
5-3, Adam man. Two good serves that she finds, and it gets Beatrice Halas-Meyer to 3 match points. Trying to be aggressive behind the second serve.